Hi, my name's Paul Wilson. I'm the creator of Swing Machine Golf and the director of the Paul Wilson Golf School at Bears Best Las Vegas. In this tip, I want to talk about how high to tee the golf ball. Well, what you want to try and do with all the woods in your bag, driver, fairway woods, hybrids, you always want to tee them about half the ball above the club face. So what does that exactly mean? Well, if we've got our golf club like this, we're looking at the top edge here, okay? That top edge, we're going to have the equator of the ball match up to it. So if we're looking at something like that, you can see that half of the ball is above the face. Obviously, this would be too high, and this would be too low. So why is that so important? Well, if you end up teeing your golf ball too high or too low, you could have a swing flaw in your swing in order to hit the ball properly. And we don't want any swing flaws in our swing, so we want to learn how to tee the ball up the right height so we're making contact more in the center of the club face. Okay, so what happens is when you tee the golf ball up too high, you're going to end up doing a couple of things to try and hit that golf ball. Well, if I just demonstrate, if I tee up the ball just barely putting the tee in the ground and I put my club behind the ball, you can see that that is a little bit too high. So if I was to do my normal golf swing, I would end up hitting the very top of the golf club, and that ball could actually go quite high. So what I would have to do in order to hit this shot are a few things. So the first thing is, if my ball was teed up real high like that and I went to hit it and my arms buckled a little bit, my golf club would come off the ground a little, and of course that would make pretty decent contact. Okay, but we don't want to be buckling our arms because that narrows our swing arc instead of doing a wider arc. Okay, wider arc, more club head speed. So we don't want to hit the ball with our elbows bent, of course. Next thing I could do, if the ball was teed high, if I actually lift it up a little bit, that may pull the club off the ground a little bit too, so it would make half decent contact. But we don't want to be basing our golf swing on this up and down movement. The final thing I see people do when the ball's teed up too high is they end up sliding through impact. So this is more what you would see in a better player. What happens is, if they go into the backswing and you slide laterally to hit the ball, the more you go sideways, the more your upper body tilts to the right. Now, as you swing down, the club actually bottoms out much more behind the ball, and now it's on its way up as it makes contact with the ball. So in a case like that, somebody that's sliding would typically tee the ball up higher. So if you were sliding, I'd probably want to fix the slide as opposed to, teeing the ball up higher to be able to hit that ball off the tee. So to cure the slide, what you want to do is you want to create more rotation in your swing, allow this leg to straighten and this leg to come around and physically touch it. Now, I've done a lesson on that already, so you might want to refer to that to cure that slide. Then you can tee the ball down a little bit into the proper position. Okay, so hopefully you understand that you don't want to tee the ball too high. Now, likewise, you don't want to tee the ball too low either. Now, that is typically seen in someone that skies the golf ball. So what is a skied shot? Well, if I have the ball in normal position like this, and I go into the backswing, if I happen to hit the ball with my arms, which a lot of people do, it may get me ahead of the golf ball. So if I get ahead of the ball, the club is on its way down as it hits the ball. Well, if the ball's on a tee and you're hitting down, what's going to happen is the golf club is going to go right underneath the ball. So if the club goes underneath the ball goes right up in the air. So in a case like this, the average person, instead of fixing their golf swing, because they don't really know why that shot is occurring, they just tee the ball lower. So if I go like this and I tee the ball lower, well, right there, you can see the equator isn't above the face, but if I sky a lot of shots, that ball isn't going to go and hit the top of my club and go up in the air anymore. So it's really kind of a band-aid that you're putting on the shot, obviously. Another way that I see people do this is if they dip down a lot in their golf swing. So if you dip down a lot in your swing, you might want to lower that tee so that you can hit the ball properly as well. But again, that's another flaw that you don't want. So if you're skying it or going down and feel that your ball is teed up lower because of that, what we want to try and do is stop the getting ahead of the ball or stop the dipping down. So in a case like that, you tee your ball up at normal height, and then you take the label on the ball and you face it off to the right. So if you've got the label facing this way, you just simply take your setup, and by the time you get to the top of the golf swing, or the backswing, you want to be looking at the label. Now, as you hit the ball, you still want to be looking at the label. If you get ahead of the ball, you can't see the label anymore. So if you get ahead of the ball, you're going to potentially sky it. So all you do is just hit some shots looking at the label. Okay, and that'll keep you behind it a little bit better and allow you to make better contact with the ball teed up in the proper position. Now, the dipping down, again, that's really just from hitting the ball with your arms. So if you're trying to hit that ball as hard as you can, you might be in a situation where you think that this movement is going to, produce a half decent shot. In a case like that, I'd really be working on the touch the legs position as well, keeping the arms more relaxed throughout the swing. So you don't want to be up at the top trying to hit that golf ball as hard as you can. We really want to be in a rotational manner, allowing our lower body to hit the shot. So like I say, I've done that lesson before, so look that one up and follow that advice. Start working on that position. Okay, so now we've covered the driver. We want half of the ball above the face of the driver. Now we want to do the same thing with the other golf clubs as well. So let me grab those and I'll show you what we're trying to do. So here we go. We've got a 3-wood here, and as you can see, same with the 3-wood, I've got half of the ball above the face of the club. Okay, it's pretty simple. So you want to tee the ball up with half of the ball above. Now, an easy way to get that, and you actually used to be able to do this with driver in the old days, but the faces are so big you can't really do it anymore. So try it with your 3-wood. What you do is, with the tee, you push it into the ground until you feel the grass on the back of your fingers here. Okay, if you feel the grass right here, you know that the ball is teed up the right height. So you're going to use that height for your 3-wood. Okay, so you can see right there, we got half of the ball above the face. With hybrids, same sort of thing. I would probably push that down into the grass until my fingers actually compressed the grass. Okay, because we want that just a little bit lower, so half of the ball again is above the face. Okay, it's pretty simple. That'll allow us to make a better golf swing and hit the ball basically in the center of the face. Okay, now let's just talk briefly about irons. So with irons, what we're trying to do is we're trying to tee the ball up so that the ball is just above the grass. Now, we do that off of a tee, let's say a par 3, because it's just a little bit easier shot. Plus, there's less grass that can get between the ball and the club face. So that can potentially give us a little more backspin to allow the ball to stop a little bit better. So what happens is when a club comes in to hit the ball, if the grass gets between the ball and the face, the grass, it gets stuck in the grooves. So those grooves disperse any material that's between the ball and the face. So that it's like treads on a tire. Okay, when you get rain on the ground, the water is dispersed from the tire, so it gives it traction. So that's what we want. We don't want as much or any grass really between the ball and the face. Okay, so if we tee it up just a little bit off the grass, we reduce the amount that gets between the ball and the face, thus giving us a little more side spin. So with your irons, really don't try to tee them up way too high. Like I say, it's just above ground level or just above the grass a little bit. Now, of course, if you're a beginning player or an average player or, just kind of starting out, whatever, if you tee it up a little bit higher, that's okay, because you're just trying to learn this game, and, if you tee it up a little higher, the ball's a little easier to hit. But of course, as you get to become a better player, you want to tee the ball just above ground level. Okay? So hopefully I've cleared up how to tee the ball. It's pretty simple. With the woods, you're trying to get half of the ball above the face of the golf club. Okay, and that's because you want to make contact in the center of the face. If you're teeing it too high, you're going to have a swing flaw of trying to sweep that golf ball off the ground, or you're going to buckle your arms or potentially raise up. If you're teeing the ball too low, you are getting ahead of the ball, or if you're too low, you might be dipping down to hit the shot. So we don't want to get ahead of it, we want to stay behind it to allow the club to make better contact with it that way and stop the skied shots. Also, the dipping down, you know, that's really a beginner problem. You're trying to whack at that ball real hard. So we want to learn how to use our body instead of just hitting at it with our arms. Okay, so make sure the tee height has half of the ball above the equator. With the woods, with the iron, we're just above ground level. Okay, that just helps us with par 3. If we're allowed to put a tee in the ground, we're going to do so we get a little bit more backspin and hopefully keep it on the green. Okay, so that's it. Ask all your questions and post your comments below. I'd love to hear them.